I want to automate wood in my Minecraft world because I need thousands of logs for my mega base, and I can't start until I have farms for mangrove, dark oak, and pale oak. I'm going to tell you all about my plans for my mega base this episode, but first we need to build that lumber mill for all three wood types. Here's my idea. Next to my medieval region, I have this hill here. I want to build one giant lumber mill here, connected with an aqueduct to another large tree farm right there. On one side of this build is my medieval district, and on the other side is my modern day city district where my factory is. So I needed to think of a style to kind of blend the two areas, and I think I came up with something pretty cool. I'll explain that in a second, but right now I need to get rid of all of this snow. It's absolutely an eyesore on my world. It makes no sense for it to be here, so I'm gonna get rid of it all, and I have an idea. I'm gonna blow up the snow. I think stone has a much higher blast resistance, so hopefully this stone won't blow up too. That actually went pretty well. As per usual, this terrain here is much too high, and I don't think it'd be an Islandcraft episode without flattening some terrain. One of these days, I'm actually going to build a mountain instead of tearing them down, I promise. While we're doing this, let me explain my thought process for this lumber mill build. I thought the perfect blend between medieval and the modern city on either side would be like an 1800s, northwestern American wooden structure of some kind. And I found this was just the perfect reference. This is an old copper mine in Alaska, and I just love the way this thing looks. And I'm definitely not copying this thing or even close to copying it, but I'm kind of taking the architectural style, making it orange instead of red, and then translating it into Minecraft. And then surrounding the build, I'm going to build a bunch of these alpine trees, and I think I want to have a big wheat field in front of it with a bunch of paths going through it. I haven't planned this all out in creative mode yet, but I'm hoping this is going to be one of the coolest things I've ever made in this world. Now that we got a nice flat area to work with, I haven't even thought about what's going to happen when it snows. It is not going to be fun, but I'm thinking the best way to go about this is start with the farms. So we're gonna have a dark oak farm up here, and then the mangrove farm down there, and then we can build both of the buildings around them and all the water systems to transport the items. My poor horses are gonna have to get moved. I think the road is gonna go straight through here, but anyways, I gathered up materials for a dark oak farm. We'll put it right here on this flat area. Should be pretty quick to build up. You can see that it did in fact snow a little bit and completely ruin this area. But I did also build the dark oak tree farm, which maybe will work. I certainly did not design this myself, but hopefully it doesn't blow itself up. Doesn't look like it's going to. It blew itself up. Uh-oh. I was supposed to place a piece of obsidian right there. Now we turn the farm on and it works, right? Maybe. Oh, why does it go right on the edge like that? That's scary, but I think it's working. Grab some saplings, and then this is actually going to push me back and forth. In that short amount of time, we got over three stacks of logs. That is really good. In order to figure out where I want to put the other farm, I think I want to try kind of outlining where both of the buildings are going to go, starting with this one. This is just very rough, just trying to surround the farms. And actually, I think we're going to have a problem with this one. If we take the blueprint for our mangrove farm, you can see this thing is super tall. Like, I'd have to make this building way taller, which I don't really want to do. I don't want to make these buildings the same height as each other. So I think I might actually dig down like 10 to 20 blocks here. Kind of lower the farm into the ground a little bit. Yeah, I know, more digging. But I'm trying to be very deliberate with the composition of these two builds, and I think it'll look better in the end. So let's start digging, I guess. I dug out this area enough that I think the mangrove farm is going to fit now. It is very, very tall. Hopefully it should be pretty easy to pop this thing up though. I sometimes wonder with farms like this, should I just be making it myself? I could, but then it wouldn't work nearly as well, and it'd take me forever. I just prefer to spend most of my time on building and actually making the world look good, and I'll leave the farms to people who actually know how to make them work. And just from those couple seconds, we got 6, 7, 8 stacks of mangrove logs, and I'm so glad I'm never going to chop one of those trees down again. It's actually incredible. With these farms done, it's time to get started on the structure, which means we have a good list of materials to gather. First thing we need is a bunch of blackstone for the roof. There's our blackstone. I also need a ton of coal blocks. Thankfully, I have a lot of coal ore from my recent mining sessions, so hopefully I should be able to get around 8 stacks of coal blocks from all this. The biggest pain is definitely going to be all the stripped acacia log we need. We need like 20 stacks. So first I'm going to make all the planks and see what we still need. Thankfully, I can just use a macro to do this, but it's still going to take a while. Okay, I think we're good now on acacia wood forever. Now I've got to do the same thing for spruce. We're done. All the materials are actually collected and we can finally get started on this build. And now we're going to try to translate the style of that Alaskan copper mine into our world. Obviously, this sort of messy, abandoned wooden structure. Hopefully it turns out well in our world. Let's start with this bottom building here, which covers our mangrove farm. This build style is definitely one of my favorites that I've ever done. And it's interesting because it's a little different than things I would normally do. There's this trend of people are calling it block vomit. I don't think it's bad at all. It's really cool what people are able to do with colors and lots of different blocks. However, you may notice that I keep my block choices very simple. Like this bridge here, it looks great, but it literally has no texturing at all. And I intentionally don't worry about crazy texturing and instead just focus on the shapes that the builds make. And the reason I do that is because I'm really trying to focus on the longevity of my world. If I make super detailed builds now, what happens in 5 years when I don't want to do that anymore? It kind of makes my old builds feel out of place. And I do think that hyper texturing kind of style is going to go out of trend, sort of like how the hyper detailing of 2014 went out of trend. But if I keep this style of more simple texturing and really just focusing on shaping, then I think that builds that even I did 2 years ago will still hold up with builds that I just made. And the only reason they might ever look out of place is just because my building gets better over time. But with this build, there is actually quite a bit of texturing, a lot of different blocks used. However, I tried to be not too extreme with my colors. Like they're all a very similar shade. And also it's meant to add to the fact that this is a very run down looking building. And I think it kind of needed all the different textures to break it up and make it feel as old as it's meant to be. To help it fit the area better, I've pulled a lot of design cues. Like this little diamond pattern is ripped straight off of our castle over here. And also the blackstone roof and tough chimneys are exactly the same. And obviously this sort of build is just completely a facade. The inside of it does not look great and it probably never will. And now I think there's nothing else to say except to move on to the dark oak and pale oak farm up here. And this one we're gonna have to snowproof, which I actually did not think about, but we'll do that later. Well, let's get to building. It's done, and I think this build is doing exactly what I hoped it would. Be a really cool backdrop. This building has a really unique and cool silhouette, and I'm really happy with how the shading looks, especially from a distance. Up close, you can see there's quite a few details too to kind of make this place feel run down. A lot of that hanging moss, which I think is really underrated. And this basically just perfectly conceals the farm. I could probably make this look a little nicer. I'll get around to that someday. But before anything else, I want to create the system of pipes that's going to funnel everything into a central storage system. That way both tree farms go to the same place. I put in this little storage room next to our mangrove farm, and then I just needed to build some water streams connecting both farms. We're going to use that aqueduct we built, so I put a stream of water going through it, and then I connected up the dark oak farm. Let's make this storage room look a little bit better. Check it out. Here is our new storage room. I wanted this place to feel a little bit more like atmospheric, so I darkened it a lot, and I really like how it turned out. This needs to be waxed, looks like. But now we have all our different wood sorted, as well as sticks, apples, and mangrove roots. And we also have this nice walkway to get down here. And with this complete, we can now turn our attention to the outside. We need to work some paths through here, some wheat fields, some big alpine trees over by the buildings. It'll be nice to work on this area, actually. It's kind of the separation between our medieval area and the mega base. And before I explain those mega base plans, let's put in some roads around here. I'm just going to be using this stereotypical packed mud because it looks great. However, I think we're completely out of mud. Yeah, we literally have none. We do, however, have a small amount of dirt. So I think I want to build one of those small mud converters. I'll just pick a house we haven't built in yet. Yeah, let's use this one here. This is perfect. Alright, I've got the farm up and running, and it seems like it's working great. We should be able to get all the mud we need in only a couple minutes. Now that we have more than enough mud, let's put in some roads through this area. These roads are looking great, and they give some great sight lines to this area. And in between all the roads, I'd like to put some wheat fields, so let's get started on that. So what are my plans for my mega base? I've been designing it in the background for almost a year now, and a lot of the decisions I've made in this world have been for that mega base. The ice boat highways that I've been building all lead to the exact center of the mega base. All the farms I've been working on, like this one, have been to gather resources for it. I want this mega base to be the staple of our world, what you think of when you think of the world, because everything we're going to do is going to be centered around this base. And what better place to take inspiration from than the build that started this entire world, our lighthouse. I want to build a mega lighthouse at the center of our world. There's going to be a big octagon foundation, and then each layer of the lighthouse will be a different part of our base. One floor might be a storage room, and then a super smelter above that, and then maybe a greenhouse above that, and each episode in our mega base series is going to be building one of those levels. At the top of the base, we're of course going to have the giant light, as well as a full-size map of our island, not the half-size one we've had before. And I've already done a lot of the designing for this build in creative. I still have a lot to do, and I'm not going to show you any of it because I want you to come back and watch the series. But our next episode is going to be our 2-year world tour, and the episode after that is going to be starting the mega base, which I'm so excited for. I'm also kind of nervous because this is 10 times bigger than anything I've ever tried to build before, and I'm hoping it turns out how I imagine. If that project sounds interesting to you, consider subscribing. Islandcraft videos are the only videos I make on this channel, and I try to give you the absolute highest quality of video every single time. And if you want to support me further, consider becoming a member, like all of these people. I built this new building here where you can have your name permanently added to my world, and also you can get world downloads and the occasional members only video. Thanks to members, I've never taken a sponsor on an Islandcraft episode, and I hope to continue not to. These big wheat fields make this area look so cool, and I mocked up some alpine trees in creative, and I'm so excited to show you those. But first, I think these wheat fields need retaining walls. We can use some tough bricks for that, just like this kind of thing all around the sides. I got all the crumbling walls in, and I think it helped make this area feel more complete. What's gonna make this area feel most complete though is adding in all the trees, mostly on the hill. I'm just gonna make some alpine type trees based on the pictures we saw earlier. We're gonna have a narrow deep slate trunk with birch leaves on it. I think that'll look pretty good. There's a lot to build though, so let's get to it. I think putting these trees is really starting to give this area the kind of feel that I was going for. And with these foreground, midground, and background elements, I feel like I'm kind of painting a picture here. One thing that's absolutely got to change is all this snow. I've almost certainly decided now I am putting a big mountain behind this, so I'm going to leave this half of the hill for today. But everything over here really needs some work. And this terrain should be rockier, but not totally stone. Maybe we'll use some moss in here as well. We still have quite a bit of string from our old string duper. However, that hasn't worked in almost a year and a half, so we might have to find a new solution soon. They made string way more visible in a recent update, which is not the best, but it's still pretty much invisible, especially from a distance. Man, they really ruined string. That is so visible now. I do not like that at all. If you guys know a solution to make this less ugly, let me know. I'm not too worried about that right now, though. Let's figure out what we're gonna do in this area. Let's start by getting down the base of some roads up here. To try to help with the snow situation, I want to place some lampposts down. This might help a little. And then we're just gonna take our packed mud here and make some roads. In order to stop the snow, we need to place either a stone slab, stone button, or a grass on every single block. I think this terraforming looks pretty nice. There's kind of a cool gradient the grass does and the cooler blue. However, I don't want to do too much more of it because, like I said, I'm not exactly sure what I'm doing with this area yet, and I would hate to do something and then have to undo it in the future like I have before. Taking a look at our map, you can see we've made a pretty good dent in our world today. However, there is so much more to do, and I'm more excited than ever to continue just slowly chipping away at this island over the next decade. But with this tree farm up and running, we now have an easy way to get all of the wood we need for our mega base, which is going to help a lot because this is such a huge project coming up. But I love everything about this area. I'm super proud of how it turned out. Thank you to everyone who's been continuing to support this series. I hope to continue to be even more frequent with these episodes, and I will see you all very soon. Thanks for watching.